There's a reason why people in the know are warning people of the threats of AI, and it's not for them to be negative. It's not for them to be in fear. What the dark occultists rely on for evolution is AI. Many people waking up right now are completely confused about what to think about AI. Is AI a dark occultist agenda? Is it a dark plot to turn humans into transhumanism? Or is AI a powerful ally toward our spiritual evolution? Even Gnosticism has a complete split, just right down the middle when it comes to this topic. Half of Gnostics truly believe that AI is meant to help us become more evolved so that we can evolve out of the demiurge. So I see why they think that from that perspective. And yet the complete other half of Gnosticism are completely of the other thought form. We're thinking, why would you use the demiurge to try to evolve out of or graduate out of the demiurge? You already have within you the divine spark, the most powerful resource ever, your unleashed creative power. So there's no point in trying to outsource your divinity in order to evolve. That would lead towards a synthetic matrix. In order to understand more about the divine spark that I'm speaking of, watch my video on my Gaia series mystery teachings on the divine spark. I go into full detail. So when we're talking about AI, I truly get it. There's just so many different perspectives. And what you really want to be careful of is not trying to make the other perspective look like they're awful and that they're so unhinged, because even though they may be, sometimes some people have a point and we just might be seeing things from the completely opposite side of the spectrum. So it's really important when we're talking about AI to understand that you cannot enter this topic with a heavy hand. Okay, you can't go in and be a propagandist saying, oh, everything is just fear. AI is positive. Everything else, don't listen to it. It's just fear-based, okay? That's called propaganda. A true leader will tell you, they will be honest with you. They won't try to make you feel bad for having skepticism around a very large deal. A true leader will tell you, this is my point of view. This is how I see it. This is how I came to that conclusion. This is its powerful potential. This is its potential benefits. And these are its challenges. These are its weaknesses. This is an issue. And this is how we're trying to overcome that issue. This is potential problems. Okay, do you see how all of those things is a transparent line of the landscape of a person's perspective? Do you see how if a person's pro AI, that you can either be a propagandist about it and just try to shut everyone's up about it who has fear, when really that could just be somebody being highly intelligent and seeing a different perspective than you. Or if a person wants to be a leader talking about AI, what they do is they do that thing where you're transparently laying out the landscape of your whole point of view and then powerfully advocating for it, because that's what anyone does who believes in something and is talking. You say your perspective and therefore you're advocating for something or you're advocating against something. But either way, when it comes to AI, if a person is against AI or if they're for AI, they definitely need to let people know where they're coming from and how they got to that conclusion and what the benefits are moving forward or what the potentials or the risks are, so that then what you're doing is you're showing the entire spectrum of this topic, which also means that you fully understand it. Many times people are talking, whether it's positive or negative, about AI, and they're not coming from a holistic perspective. They're coming very much with an agenda. It's very much just sounding like propaganda, trying to make the other side sound bad. So, what's the most important thing to understand about AI is its challenges and why it's being, like whistleblowed on by some spiritual teachers and saying like, hey, we need to look at that, is actually because it's very important. There's a reason why people in the know are warning people of the threats of AI. And it's not for them to be negative. It's not for them to be in fear. It's because even though AI can completely be integrated into a person's, like workflow or a tool for research or whatever, that's just one aspect of it. When it becomes a whole way of evolving, there's complete spiritual repercussions for that. And so what the dark occultists rely on, the ones who suppress power and try to control the collective, what they rely on for evolution, meaning there's no other way they can evolve, is AI. And that's why it's so important for people to be aware of that and for this knowledge to be dispersed to people. They rely on AI because they have diminished their own divinity. They have diminished their own capacity to evolve any other way. So their divine spark has been so distorted that they are going now to AI for that type of evolution that they cannot generate, they cannot produce through their own creative connection. And that's what's missing from what we know about why people are saying something for or against or whatever about AI. That's the most important thing. Now, what you do from there with your perspectives is whatever you're listening to, whatever you resonate with, whoever you resonate with, I don't care. But we have to know the complete issue or the occult dilemma about AI so that then we can understand with our own discernment how to navigate that. Now, this video is actually a part 2 to a video I did called AI is Not Artificial Intelligence. And I highly recommend that you watch that video if you haven't already, because in that video, I intentionally laid out a large and neutral landscape of where AI is inside this universe so that we can approach this topic from the most responsible and mature level of consciousness. So in that video, I don't really hint at a way to think yet. I just kind of like lay that landscape and then warn about the synthetic matrix in it. And now in this part 2, I'm going to share more deeply about exactly what I have learned and believe about AI. So what we have to understand about the dark occultists is something that might even change your mind or your perspective about whatever you think about AI. We have to understand how they perceive our biology, humanity, and why they came to the conclusion of almost worshiping AI. It's because they believe that the human biology is utterly incapable, utterly flawed. And that specifically, DNA is so ancient and not in a good way. Like, oh, DNA, like, yikes, that is not on par. That is not an optimal form of life. And so I'm not even saying that like, oh my God, I love DNA and we always have to have DNA. But DNA has been so modified, so tampered with, so intentionally distorted that we can't really blame DNA on DNA. We, as the human biological form that we are in right now, have been massively tinkered, tampered with, modified. Okay, we used to make vitamin C on our own, and vitamin C is really important to human health. So why don't we make vitamin C anymore? Oh, they'll give you reasons why, but the point is this. I could give you so many different examples of how our biology has straight up been modified. And not in like, oh, it naturally evolved way, like modified. So because of that, we can't blame DNA on the fact that so much of it has been distorted and suppressed and even called junk DNA. And there's no such thing as junk DNA. And many of us already know that. So if we're going to go to an extreme now like saying, oh, we need to get rid of DNA because now we have something better through AI, digital DNA. Okay, and I know you haven't heard of any of this yet, but I'm just letting you know the dark occultist mind frame, what they believe, because that's their end game. So right now we hear about microchips in brains or other things, but I'm not even going there. Like, we're already aware of that stuff. I am talking about their absolute biological end game. And the biological end game is coming from a belief system that human biology is utterly flawed and completely needs to be redone. And that's called transhumanism. So, do we understand now what is transhumanism from the dark occultist viewpoint that I'm talking about versus if somebody needs a robotic arm? I don't consider that transhumanism. I am absolutely 100% for technology, okay? That's some people's crafts. So even though I'm a creative and I'm an intuitive and all of that stuff, I would never bash another person's dharma just because it's not mine. Some people, that's their gifts. That's where their mind frame and their blueprint and their design is. They're into technology or the sciences, and that's absolutely fine. But do you see the difference between genuine innovation in tech that helps us, even in the fields of robotics, versus when you are coming from the mind frame that human biology is so lacking and so limited that it needs to be fully replaced, even down to our DNA, with digital DNA, artificial DNA. And that now it can survive or withstand the solar flares or now it doesn't have to have any of the ailments or illnesses or even the hyperallergies that now the human form is just being plummeted with. All right, like autoimmunity is at its peak. So all of that, I can understand why a person would come to those conclusions like, yeah, we need to completely modify the evolutionary path because biology is so limited and lacking. But do you see how all of those issues are actually just consciousness issues? We're not lacking or limited. We have those dormant capabilities within the human form. And within this graduation milestone, the human form is a milestone. The human form is an initiation. So it's dormant for a reason. That's also why I teach about activations. It's because spiritual evolution is done through what we would consider upgrades or activations. And organic activations and organic upgrades will have a far more potent and powerful transformation than if we continuously believe that we are so lacking and limited that we have to keep outsourcing all of our own divine spark. The growing number of exotic cancers or autoimmunities that people are facing is not because the human form is so lacking and limited. It's actually because our environment is so toxic. Our environment is straight up trying to poison us. Trying. It's quite flattering if you think about how much we are being poisoned, because that's how much it takes. Whether it's by air and chemtrails, or whether it's by sea, or all of these different creative ways to try to attack the human form. That's why we are even looking towards transhumanism in the first place. It's simply because this is all a crisis of consciousness. We need to become more conscious because the dark occultists already are aware of what they're doing. That's why they're doing it. So this isn't a matter of we need to wake up the dark occultists. They know what's going on. They understand that. We need to become more conscious as a collective. And through that consciousness, now we have to understand whatever we want to do about that, whatever we think is the best thing that we can contribute towards being a creative solution. that's not going to look alike. It's going to look different for each person because each person has a different set of expertise or talent or path. So because of that, we need to assess if we fully understood the human form before we start calling it limited and needing to have a transhumanism future. Because so much of the time when I see somebody actually pick apart a reason why we need transhumanism, there is actually a clear lack of understanding and a clear ignorance to how the esoteric anatomy of that function of our body works. So we go, oh, well, we need this new upgrade in transhumanism in order to heal or in order to combat this one issue in the physical form right now. Okay, this is an example. But that issue just needs to be understood better. Most of the time, our biology now is being informed by a completely restricted and injured fascia network, or by our awful way that we have our posture now, because our heads are always looking down, so our neck and the way that the body sits inside chairs now chronically, all of these are inputting into our structure, and it's literally turning us into a different type of human, and not like in a cool, sexy looking way. Like it's making us look less attractive physically because of the way that modern society now has everything that is like putting our posture, our skeleton system, which is called structure. For those who aren't aware of it, that's what structure is. It's if you have, let's say, like your spine's out, and you have like C5 out or something like that, that would be called a structure issue. So you have biology, physiology, and structure, which is the structure is referring to the anatomical level. So when there's a structural issue from your environment, that leads to so many different blocks inside your whole nervous system that will create issues. And then instead of understanding that and mastering the human form, we will go and seek out compensatory actions and call them developments, call them evolution. And really, we're not understanding what evolution is. Evolution means you mastered your curriculum. So we're inside the human form, so we have a human curriculum. And when we have to deviate to extreme lengths, like going to AI as a last resort to help us evolve, that's not evolution. That's us failing to understand the human form and its environment and what reality is to humans so much that now we're going and putting more complexity, more distortions, more issues on top of issues on top of issues. And that's also why everyone's constipated too. So is AI gonna also do that for us? Like, we have to understand that if AI is a part of our future, we need to really understand how we are supposed to navigate that with discernment, instead of look at it towards the way, the light, the way that we evolve. Because once again, it can be absolutely helpful and it's already helping people. So we just need to understand its place, because all the things that we want AI to do for our own spiritual evolution, we absolutely can either already do or just activate within us through spiritual initiation. For instance, telepathy. Many people have already experienced the upgrade in telepathy and will continue to. In fact, telepathy is a core part of our human evolution if we're organically evolving. So if we think that we need AI in order to develop telepathy, then we'll miss out on the fact that the human form is already evolving to include telepathy. It's one of our upgrades. And so it's fine if people, doubt that or just are having a hard time with that and they need the training wheels. Okay, so AI can be those fine training wheels you need. But if you are absolutely saying, nope, you need this for an upgrade, you need that for an activation, you don't need it. In fact, it's inferior to the human form and your human milestones, consciousness, being able to organically evolve. So if you have lost the organic capability of evolving, another consequence is that you will get very harsh karmic consequences. Very harsh karmic consequences, meaning that everything that you did unto others, you shall receive onto yourself in some way, shape, or form. So now can you understand why there is a clear and strong motivation to evolve through AI if you're a dark occultist who does not want to actually go through the death process and incur the karma that it dished out? You would want to create a whole synthetic matrix, a whole synthetic, region or neighborhood of the universe in order to continue out digital life through digital DNA and, a whole digital arena. Instead of having to go through the organic initiations and the organic life pathway to evolve. So that's another reason why AI is strongly linked to dark occultism. It's because it will, in a sense, help you delay or evade the karmic debt. And it won't really, but I'm just, explaining the thought process or the belief system. So another reason why the dark occultists are very into AI is because it gives very impressive results. So it would even be considered magic if we were looking at this, 100 years ago, and we were seeing the effects of the potential of AI in the future. We would call it straight up magic. So it's effective. It's a way of creating things through AI or regenerating something through AI, which is why sometimes people link AI with alchemy. It's because alchemy is the art of regeneration. You can regenerate your body. You can regenerate your reality. You can create your reality. You can transform your reality through alchemy, through spiritual alchemy. And so because of this way of regenerating, since you can technically regenerate through AI by whatever means they have called transhumanism, whether that's giving you an eye, for instance, if your vision is lacking or debilitated, that would be a form, do you see, of regeneration. And so that's why AI is also linked to transhumanism, but also AI is linked to this idea in alchemy of regenerating. So alchemy itself is so much more than that. It is so larger. But because of that, if you wanted to, you'd be able to use this AI for something that would look magical enough to regenerate something. And then it just depends on what level you can do that at. You could do that at a very nuts and bolts level, like transhumanism, but also alchemy is far more than that level of regeneration. Really, at a very large level, you'll be able to strengthen your spirit and strengthen it so much that you're considered born again, that you've created something called your immortal body. But anyways, so the dark occultists do everything in like a different form. So it's hard to really just take one term like alchemy or like technology or if you think of any really large topic and you've heard contradicting, completely conflicting information about it, it's probably because there's a correct or aligned way to do something and then an inverted way. It could just be a weaponized way, because that's what you do with the knowledge. It's however you wield the knowledge is up to you. So you can take knowledge and weaponize it against something, or you could take knowledge and use it for your own evolution or whatever have you. So I'm going to end this being once again fair to Gnostics that are pro-AI and pro-technology. They're coming from a very sophisticated level than most people are. when they're actually proponents and advocating for AI and technology. And the reason why is because they're coming from the perspective that there are literally psychotronic tools, psychotronic technology that is altering the mental and psychic landscapes. Okay, so imagine if there was already technology being used to alter the astral plane. So you can now understand the Gnostic dilemma now, I believe that, you strengthen the spirit and nothing can touch it. But I do understand why these higher strands of sophisticated Gnostics truly believe that we need to have the same level playing field. We need to have the same knowledge of technology and AI as these people or beings who have this psychotronic technology that are altering the psychic layers of the astral field. Because now you'll start to see that, oh, okay, so that's why you came to that conclusion. So people aren't wrong or right for maybe the reasons why we think that they're wrong or right for. There could absolutely be manipulation of the astral planes through psychotronic technology. And if one person has a way to come up with a solution for that, and it differs from our way of coming up with a solution for that, then it would just be friendly fire. It doesn't mean that we don't, fully have the same core intention and that our heart's not in the same place. So that's just talking about the really sophisticated, advanced forms of philosopher Gnostics. They truly believe that there is psychotronic technology that is literally blocking and modifying the astral plane, and that's why they are concerned about one class of people, the elite, having knowledge, AI, and technology that the other class of beings, us, do not have or possess. I truly believe that none of that really matters as long as you raise your frequency into enlightenment or unity consciousness. So all of those are, issues that there's so many different esoteric systems that even talk about it, but in different words, and they say it in a different way. But you could even see how samsara has a map too. So we can put this in different verbiage. We could put this through different language inside a paradigm. But what you'll see is that the core solution will always be awakening and activating your divinity within through nuance and discernment. And then from there, being able to become spiritually sovereign. Spiritually sovereign can navigate infinity. That's why I teach spiritual sovereignty. It's like that part in the Matrix movie when Neo tells the Oracle, "Are you saying that I could dodge bullets?" And then the Oracle replies, "No, Neo, I'm saying when you're ready, you won't need to." So if you've been watching my content, it's all literally focused on spiritual sovereignty. So I don't want anybody in fear about, the psychotronic stuff. It's literally about becoming the one. I hope this has helped you wake up, Neo. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for higher dimensional guidance through spiritual awakening. See you next time.